This episode of the Citadel Cafe is brought to you by listeners like you. Visit patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe to find out how you can become a patron and help make this show possible. This is the Citadel Cafe, episode number 384 for Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. My name is Joel Duggan, and the Citadel Cafe is where my friends and I hang out to talk about the geeky stuff that we are into. Joining me this week, Megan Townsend is back. You can find her at Megan Townsend on all the social media that matters. Welcome back. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's weird to record these on Thursdays. I'm still getting used to it. I have to wrap my brain around not saying Wednesday, even though it's written very clearly in the show notes. But after 9+ years of doing the show, mostly on Wednesdays when it's on an off day, I either get the day or the date incorrect, and I often have to go back and fix it later. It's weird that it's December. I've been doing fair bit of online Christmas shopping and surfing around Black Friday deals and Cyber Monday stuff. Not so much for Christmas presents. The Christmas presents have been surprisingly low tech this year. I won't get into what because some people in my family listen to the show, so I can't divulge just yet. But I'm excited about some of the things that I found that are like people's interests and things that they will be more than likely doing at home over the next few months as Canadian winter and the pandemic continue. However, personally, I was looking for some home theater updates because for those of you that might run a home business, Black Friday and Cyber Monday into there's a bit of a break, and then the Boxing Week sales are usually the best times to pick up tech. Like if you just need an extra hard drive for your home business, or like extra video files, or if you need like a new microphone or webcam, like all that kind of stuff, it's usually on some sort of sale, sometimes very good on sale. And so I've been podcasting with a set of earbuds forever. I haven't used the new ones yet because they're mostly going to be for, I think, streaming and gaming. But I picked up a set of the SteelSeries Arctis 9X. Specifically designed for Xbox, which I'm going to be hopefully getting either today or some other time, depending on when stock becomes available. And so that is kind of like what my nerdy week has been like, with Black Friday going into December, trying to figure out what's what. But it's been cool to see some stuff. Like it's not necessarily the latest greatest that's on sale, but there are some accessories and things. So if you're into that scene, if you're looking into gaming, if you're looking into like home office stuff, there's no like computers are not on sale, like tablets are not on sale really so much, but things like hard drives and mice and keyboards and all that kind of stuff tends to be on sale this time of year. I got my gaming keyboard last year at Black Friday sales actually. So I'm hoping to pick up the Xbox Series X, which I've of course been talking about on the show for weeks now. Basically because I want it for the Christmas holidays, not as a present, but like so I can chill and have a vacation, play some video games.
Right. Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been waiting to do. But I did try out the Arctis 9X last night, and they're good. I might have to do a little bit of adjusting. They're a heavy set of headphones, which I'm not used to, and I'm going to chalk that up to just the ones that I have from Turtle Beach from 10 years ago are falling apart. Like the plastic has disintegrated. They still work just fine. They just don't sit on your head anymore.
They disintegrated?
Yeah, no, it's just wear and tear of putting the headphones on and off repeatedly, sitting on the couch watching films and playing games and stuff like that. The plastic just slowly but surely just like fell apart. And things like the ear pads are all worn. I mean, like 10 years old, right? Like and I'm in an apartment, so if I'm watching movies on the weekend, I generally will put the headphones on because I can have it as loud as I want, which isn't super loud. I don't blow my eardrums out, but I can turn up Star Wars at midnight and not worry any neighbors or disturb any neighbors. But then also my television died 3 years ago, and the new TV that I have as a hand-me-down from my mom, the speakers are terrible. The audio is awful. So I'd much rather wear headphones and get much better sound out of the headphones. So with gaming, same idea. There's just a lot of repetitive explosions and things like that in games. And I thought, well, for my neighbor's sake and for the fact that I don't have decent speakers, I'll use headphones. And they are something that you can hook up to PC and to phones and tablets. So last night, just to test them out, I quickly attached them to my phone and went onto Spotify and played a couple different types of music and messed with a few things. And they sound great. They're comfortable. They're, like I said, they're a little bit heavy because they're Steel Series, which I didn't realize the name implies, as the product is made of steel. They're metal. The band is anyway. And so they call it like a ski goggle strap. And so you adjust the strap that kind of like floats the band above your head.
Okay.
But I think I might have to just like adjust the band a little bit because I felt like the muffs of the earphones were just a little bit too low and maybe like kind of digging in. Not digging in is the wrong word because that sounds aggressive, but like the weight of the earphones, I was feeling it more on my ears than I was on the top of my head. So I think I might just have to like just dial it back a little bit on the adjustment. But so far it's a good investment, and they're supposed to connect to the Xbox the same way that the controllers connect. So the idea is like you go from your Xbox being asleep to basically in a game playing both your controller and your headset connected in like 15 seconds sort of idea.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they work. And if I'm going to be using them for streaming, I'll probably just plug them into the PC because I don't need them to be wireless when I'm sitting in front of a microphone. It would be nice to not have something, sense. But a lot of the times, I mean, you and I both have Yeti microphones, I believe, and I use the headphone jack under the microphone, so it monitors my voice. Plus, it also gives me game sound, and so I'll plug them into that if I can get a cord that'll work. I'm assuming they'll still need to be like they're not going to get power from that. You're going to have to power them in order to listen to music, but because it said that they'll work with PC, but like only with a custom wireless Windows 10 like receivers. Like, well, that doesn't make any sense because they're Bluetooth. So like they connect to the phone without the special adapter. So I'm assuming that they'll connect to Bluetooth with the PC, but I also know that Bluetooth gaming is not the best. Like sometimes there's lag with the audio. So anyway, we'll have to see. I've only had them for a day, and I tried them for like a half an hour last night before I went to bed. But so far they sound good. Certainly good enough for me. And the ear cups, which is where I was concerned, are very comfortable. They have some sort of like cool foam, or I can't remember the brand name that they give the special foam that they put in it, but it's nice. It doesn't feel like you're going to get super hot, in summertime and all that kind of stuff. So, because I'm so used to earbuds, over the ear headphones are kind of a trip. Do you have like over the ear stuff?
Yeah, so I use a set of Beats Studios as like my primary headphones,
Nice.
especially for streaming. I got them as this sounds so stupid. I got them as a way to be just very obviously I'm listening to music. Don't talk to me when I'm out in public. Because people would actively if I had earbuds in, like people would come up and try and have conversations with me. I had to like pull them up and be like, what? I'm busy. Like, and I, especially in the winter time, like when I had, beanies on and everything.
Right.
So now that I have, even if I had like a toque on or something, if I put on headphones, it's like, okay, those are very large headphones. Clearly a person does not want to be bothered. That still doesn't stop people, unfortunately. But it became a way, first of all, for streaming. They were better for video editing. Whenever I'm sitting at work and I'm in the lunchroom and I'm writing, if I don't want people to bother me, I just keep my headphones on. And it blocks out a lot of the other sound that's going around there as well. So, I like them. They're great. They're getting a little older. Like the material on the headphones are starting to fray and like peel a little bit.
Right.
But I've had them for like 2 years and I wear them very consistently, like a lot. They've seen some good wear, so I'm not mad about them. I like their sound, and I kind of like how nondescript they are. I don't like anything that's super flashy. I don't like anything that's out there, I guess, for lack of a better word. I purposely got a black pair,
right,
just to kind of just be a standard.
Yeah, these come in.
Piece of equipment.
I want to say these might come in white, but I got the black pair, and they've got some green highlights on them. The band that goes around the adjustable Velcro band that you use to change your fit has some like green Xbox like highlights on it, like little strips.
Right.
But it's still
Right.
predominantly like 95% black, and
Right.
they're not designed for outside. Like I get the feeling from them is that they're definitely like an inside kind of like gaming headset. Well, they have a microphone too, which it really slickly retracts into the left ear cup. Like it just kind of like, it's like pulling out an aerial on a car, back when that was still a thing.
Right.
Like it just kind of like folds back into the headset. And so when it's there and retracted, it's like a little nub, and then you just pull it out and it's like a full mic arm, like a full headset. And you can just, and when you pull it out, it turns on. When you slip it away, it turns off. It's like, shoot, that's awesome. So
Nice.
Yeah. I don't really do much multiplayer gaming, but I'd like to try more, because it's one of those things where like I've had an Xbox 360, so no one plays that anymore. Right? There's no one to multiplayer with. And then the other times that I have done multiplayer, it's been like co-streams with Pixel Riffs or something like that, where we're on microphone and it's a different experience altogether. So I'm looking forward, because there's a couple of people that I've met now through Minecraft and different communities that are also like getting the new Xbox and going to be playing some games, and we'll see what multiplayer games are out there. I'm not a Call of Duty guy. Or if I am, first person shooters, I tend to prefer them on the PC, but I played Mass Effect and I played Borderlands 1 on Xbox 360, and I thought they were fine. Like, it's just a matter of what you're used to and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be, I think I was mentioning this to you at pre-show conversation. It's weird to spend money on yourself, but then I never do it. And I didn't go on a vacation this year. So it's like, well, like, it's just, like I do have a little bit of extra in that realm. And part of it too is that like I have been getting more into gaming with the streaming and talking about games on the Citadel Cafe from time to time. And so I'd like to have a more up-to-date experience with that kind of stuff. So
me too. I mean, I don't know if I'll get an Xbox. I know Colin's potentially looking at one.
Nice.
But right now I just have the Xbox Console Companion and the Xbox Shortcut on my PC, so I can access things from Game Pass on my PC if it's like, cross compatible. So a lot of the games that I've been playing has been through that. So at one point Colin and I were playing Gears together. And Gears 4, wonderful, great game. Had such a good time with it. Gears 5, awful. I hate the mechanics. They've added some new things in there that are just not good, and just the story is not great. We kind of gave up halfway through.
Wow.
And I've never finished it because it and I don't typically do that. I'd like to go through maybe at some point in the future, and maybe try again, because trying to stream it was a little complicated at the time. But so far, I play Spiritfarer through the Xbox console app.
Oh, really? I thought you played that. I thought you played that on the computer.
Well, I do, but it's on the PC, but it's through Xbox. It's through Game Pass.
Oh,
so Game Pass is like a monthly or annual.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to be playing games. One of the things that I picked up, because I wanted to get the Xbox through EB Games for the All Access. I've since decided not happening. Everything I heard with EB Games so far has just been like a customer service. It just seems like a black flag or a red flag. I'm just like,
I'm very surprised that company is still in business.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I would rather I can get an Xbox Series X. It's more practical to do the monthly thing with Xbox All Access, but I don't want to deal with EB. And so Ryan Murphy, who was on the show a few weeks ago, let me know that Xbox Game Pass, and this might still be true, so you might want to take advantage of this too, is on sale. I bought 2 cards for 3 months each on Amazon for $30 for each card.
Okay, that's good to know.
$10 a month as opposed to $17 a month. And
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then if Colin is getting an Xbox Series X, I remember seeing that Best Buy, in addition to offering $15 off of an extra controller, they were also offering $20 off of a 3-month Xbox Game Pass card with the purchase of an Xbox. So like if you're going to get the Xbox and you're going to use Game Pass anyway, you might as well buy them now and save the $20. And so I've got 6 months worth of Game Pass. I believe that Ryan said that retailers like Best Buy were limiting one pass per purchase or per customer. But Amazon didn't when I said put 2 in my cart, they said sure. And it's not even a card. Like they just send me the digital code. It's on a PDF on my desktop. So when I eventually get the desktop or the not the desktop, when I eventually get the Xbox, I will activate those codes and get 6 months of of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is both for PC and console, for $10 a month. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. So check that out. Because if you're
That's
if you're on a budget and that's how you guys play games together, then yeah, look at that because you'll save some money in the long run. I mean, you have to fork
definitely.
over the $30 now, but I mean that's if and that's the thing is like you can buy that now, but if something happens, that like your computer dies and you haven't activated that card, then you don't have to activate it right away. Like you can wait until you have a better system. For me, that's why I only bought 6 months because I thought, well, that takes me from December to June, at which point I'm probably going to be outside more, knock on wood, more hiking, more running, more like less kind of just sitting at home in the wintertime playing video games. So at which point I might continue the Xbox Game Pass, or I might just say, well, I'll just wait for the next sale and, play the games that I own now and whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of like one of the things that I was looking at over the Black Friday sales was all that kind of stuff. Now I'm kind of looking ahead to what might be available during Boxing Week for tech for the business and kind of invest. I'd like to update it and get a second microphone for podcasting and stuff like that, but we'll see because it's all that kind of stuff where it's just like needs versus wants versus what's the best investment right now. But yeah, so that's basically what my week has been in the last little while. It's just been looking at online sales and all that kind of stuff. What have you been up to that's been nerdy the last little while?
So I started like picking back up into the start of December in the YouTube sphere is Vlogmas. So I kind of jumped on that kind of on a whim, really, just as a way to kind of keep myself sane and kind of just document what's going on. This is going to be a weird holiday period, I think, so I'd like to just have something to document it and to keep myself, I guess, focused and centered and organized, because Lord knows organization is probably really important right now. But aside from like doing some video editing and general game playing, I haven't managed to stream it a little bit because I didn't know what my schedule was going to be like. But aside from that, I've been mostly just doing some writing and watching a lot of Adventure Time.
I never get into Adventure Time. I tried 1 or 2 episodes
And
and I just didn't get it.
See, in the beginning, this is my first time watching it all the way through. But the characters are very cute, and I'm very into the art style, and I'm very into a lot of the characterization, particularly Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. I find them very endearing. Excuse me. But I don't know. It's my first time watching it all the way through, and to be very fair, the beginning of the show is very difficult to get into. There's not a lot that happens because it's very episodic. But the episodes are only like 10 minutes long, so it's not really that much of a commitment. But where am I at now? I'm at like season 4 or 5 now because it's just been a really low effort thing to put on in the background while I've been working on stuff. But now that I'm into like seasons 4 or 5, they're getting into a lot of lore and world building, and you could easily like really all of the episodes that have been done so far, they're absolutely just one-offs. But there's been some tiebacks into newer episodes, but you don't really need to know a lot of information about it. So when you start to look at the actual lore building, it gets very intense, and the longer the show goes on, some of it gets a little horrifying. It's like not so horrifying that it can't be on a kid's Cartoon Network, because it's literally Cartoon Network, but it's I don't know. Some of it can be very creepy, and there's some things where I'm just like, oh, that's kind of weird. I can't believe this got okay to be put on kids' TV. But there's some good messages, and like the lore building and the world building and the characters they're very endearing, and it's just been a nice, like, fun, lighthearted thing to watch without a lot of pressure. And it's, again, because the episodes are like 10 minutes long, you can watch 2 or 3 of them and be like, all right, I'm good for the day.
Nice.
Or just keep it going for long periods of time. So I've been having a really good time with it. A lot of people have been Adventure Time has kind of had like a resurgence because it's been like something like a couple years since the last episode was put out, of like the original series, and now there's one called um Hidden Lands or something. I don't remember what it's called, but there's like a new version out, a new like season or a new series of Adventure Time that's out that's focusing mostly on Marceline and Bubblegum, whereas the original Adventure Time is about Finn and Jake. They're the protagonists, so most of the stories revolve around them, and then everything else to do with like all the other characters, they're just like side stories. But this one is specifically about Bubbling, so Bubblegum and Marceline is like they're a couple.
Okay.
So it's very it's I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going through all the way because I've already seen like some hints of like character development and building and like history that has been like hinted at, but they haven't really gone into it yet. So it's been very fascinating to watch and to listen to so far. So I'm looking forward to getting back into it again. It's been really, because I'll watch it with Colin. We're just watching it online, so it's just on like on one of those illicit streaming websites. Because it's not anywhere. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Crave. It's not on Amazon. Like, I don't think Cartoon Network has a deal with any streaming platform to play it, and it's not on their website.
It's so strange that they're so late to that game, because
I know.
like, when people look at Disney Plus and see that it's doing like gangbusters. I don't remember the stats.
Yeah.
But they reported on it on the Daily Tech News show, Disney Plus doing like their quarterly, their annual, because it's a publicly traded company, like they're reporting how Disney Plus is doing. And like gangbusters is an understatement to say how well Disney Plus is doing, right? And to have like all of that stuff, all that cartoon stuff under one roof. I think also there's that push and pull of like consumers kind of are at their limit of like yet another monthly subscription for $9.99, for all the cartoons that I could ever watch from Cartoon Network. So I get that. But yeah, I'm surprised that it's not somewhere. Like they don't have a deal with some other distributor, because even Amazon Prime has got like a kids section now. They've got like a family friendly, safe area versus that I always have to choose not to go into because all my stuff that I'm watching on Prime is elsewhere.
Right.
But Adventure Time is one of those things that I've just heard so much about that I should have probably watched, having been an animator and being into that kind of stuff. And it's the same thing with like Steven Universe, and Gravity Falls is something that Brockett kind of reminds me about once a month. Have you watched that yet? Have you tried that yet?
That's next on my list because I've heard wonderful things about Gravity Falls, like in terms of like character development and story progression and writing. And it is like a masterclass in that.
Yeah, apparently it's really good.
Yeah.
And I did take the time to finish Star Wars Clone Wars. I have that set aside as another time because Brockett and I were going to get into that on a show, but we had to cancel that particular recording. So I've still got those notes set aside. But I did finish those. So like I'm slowly but surely catching up on all the stuff that I kind of feel like I should watch. One of those things actually has been very slowly. I've been trying to catch up on Schitt's Creek because it like won a ton of Emmys in the 7th season, but I've not seen any of it. So I started on season 1. And I think I might have to do what you are doing and like, having Adventure Time on kind of like in the background or like, watching it while you're doing other stuff. Because Schitt's Creek, there's not a lot of visual gags. It's mostly dialogue. So I don't necessarily have to sit and watch it. Because I find it hard to get through some of the episodes. I do find
Me too. I had a hard time with it.
Oh, you're watching too. Cool.
Yeah, I know I'm not having a lot of fun with season 1, and I hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of people are not having a good time with season 1, and then once you get into like season 2 or 3, now I have my own opinions of that. It's just like if a show is not good for the first season, it shouldn't have been made. But clearly, things have places to go.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like get out of that mindset of being like, if it's not good, it just shouldn't be made. Like, but I think people's time is precious. There's only so many things that like only so much time that people have in the day to like sit down and watch something. So if it takes you this long to get into it, it's just like me.
So I think that the issue with season 1 is that it's not bad. It's just that because I'm coming to it having known that season 7 won a record number of Emmys, I had high expectations. Like I thought this was going to be
Mm.
hilarious, and it's funny, and there are funny moments, and I seem to be more in tune with the comedy from the kids than I do with the parents. Although
Yes.
Catherine O'Hara, the one liners that she
Okay.
says before they cut to commercial or they change scenes, like she's like, I'm just gonna be in the bathroom gargling some thumbtacks, or like something like just something really kind of morose and over dramatic. And I realized actually partway through the second episode what it was that really kind of like it's kind of odd, but I couldn't put my finger on what she sounds like. It's almost like she's doing a Donald Trump impression when she speaks. It's once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And she even looks a little bit like him in the way that they do her makeup, and she's so pale, and everything is so. She's got like this wig, like it's really really similar.
Oh
And
my God, I never thought of that before.
yeah, it's
I'm never gonna be able to look at her again.
I mean, she doesn't look like Trump, but like it's the way that she says certain words
No,
and
but
how
like,
slowly she speaks. Because it's all a characterization, of course. But I mean,
yes, yeah.
the thing that I find hard about Schitt's Creek is that most modern comedy I have a really hard time getting into because I just don't find awkward comedy funny. It pisses me off. Like I get agitated by awkward comedy. Just I'd rather you be clever and funny rather than standing around silently until someone else finds it funny because I don't. And
Yes.
to that effect, Chris Elliott, who plays the mayor, I want to pitch him off a bus.
Oh my God, he's so uncomfortable. He is like, I think that's why I got so uncomfortable watching the show and why I was like I'm not having fun with it because he's just, every time he's on the screen, he just makes me
Yeah,
feel gross. Like I feel
yeah,
gross. And I don't know if it's like, he's doing a very good job. He's doing a really good job, but I
yeah.
hate his character
Yeah,
so much.
whenever I've seen him in anything else, he gets spotted in Friends a couple times. Like I just anytime I've seen him in a sitcom, he just makes my skin crawl. So like, I'm assuming he's doing it on purpose, and that he's just very good at it. So I'm not
Yeah.
slamming his performance at all. But like, there's this moment in one of the first episodes where he's got his hand in the fondue, and then he pulls it out and he's like
Oh my God.
licking his
Yeah, I
fingers.
remember it.
It's like
Ugh.
it's like a guest dinner. Like the levies are over, not the levies, like the roses are over for dinner, and like he's got his, and then he's like got this handful of like goopy cheese, and he's like eating it, and like I'm smiling as I'm telling the story, but I was angry watching it. Like I was just like, I don't find this funny. It's gross. Like he's very gross. Like I want to take a shower whenever he's on the screen.
Yeah, I remember watching that with Colin and having to like leave the room. I was just like, whoa, it's so awful. But apparently, a lot of people are like once you get to like season 2 or 3 or something, it's apparently like the characterization gets better. I'm having a hard time with it because I'm just like, why should I care about these characters? There's a bunch of rich people who are thrown into the situation that like most people are in now, and you're
Mm,
supposed to feel sympathy for them, and I'm having a really hard time with that, but like I
right.
think that's the point. That I realize now that's the point. um I would say, as someone who I don't like awkward comedy, I find this way more awkward and way more cringy to watch than Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is more of like goofy comedy. It's more like,
Mm,
hairball comedy. So I find it a little bit easier to watch, and just, I don't get secondhand embarrassment from it. I get extreme secondhand embarrassment from a lot of the things going on in Schitt's Creek.
yeah, I
Um
can see that.
and like the characters that are gross, like there are like two characters, Scully and Hitchcock. They're gross, but everyone is just like, no, they're like, everyone's like, God, you're so gross. Like, why are you like this? So everyone's calling them out on it, and it's like, for it's not long drawn out moments of like, like someone sticking their hand in fondue and licking it off. Like it's not anything
Yeah,
like that. It's like it's literally snapshots of them.
yeah.
So it's more like, zany one liners and delivery.
Right now, I think the thing that I enjoy the most about Schitt's Creek is David Rose, the son, played by Dan
Yes.
Levy, and
Yeah.
his disconnection from like reality because of their financial, like they used to be so rich, and he just doesn't understand how the world works. And I do find like his writing funny. I'm enjoying that part of it, and I mean to a point, I guess Alexis, his sister, Annie Murphy.
Mm.
But I mean, I've not really been exposed to the kind of writing that I'm getting for David Rose, but Alexis Rose just kind of reminds me of like, Valley Girl stuff. I've seen that in sitcoms
Yeah.
before. Um, and honestly, the pair of them together is really funny because like on one hand they'll fight and they'll bicker, but then when it comes down to like, privilege, they land on the same side of that coin and they'll absolutely team up, and be just like, you guys are terrible parents, or like, they'll have each other's back to a certain point. I mean, they'll bicker, but at the same time, like they'll they come down on the same side of their privilege, which I think is very funny when they use it in the context of the show. Um,
Yeah.
she's like, Alexis is clueless, but like dangerous clueless. She's not like a complete ditz. She's just like so ignorant to so many things
Yes.
that I
Yeah.
can see it getting into some serious trouble. But
Yeah. It's like, oh, I just want to protect you. Speaking of, the actress who plays Alexis is actually, no, it's not Alexis. The lady who's she works at the hotel in
oh,
Schitt's Creek.
Stevie.
Yes, yes. She's in Halifax right now. She's shooting a show,
Oh,
a Stephen
cool.
King short. Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Um,
I like her
yeah.
too. She's like, and
Fun
that's the thing.
fact.
Like some of the other, um, they're not one note, but some of the characters that at this point I know very little about that are in the show, like Stevie from the motel, like the mayor's wife, like I can't remember his name, Mutt or something, the mayor's kid, the
Yeah.
bearded homeless
Yes.
guy. Um,
Yeah.
but they're stiffer characters because they're meant to be like the normal people to the crazy Roses. But I find some of their content quite funny because they're the ones going like, what? No, I don't. What are you talking about? Like this. And there's a really good moment from one of the episodes I watched recently that I did quite enjoy. Somebody thought that the mayor's wife was having an affair with Mutt, but it's her son. And so
Yes.
they don't know that yet. And she's talking about having just seen him, and they're like, "Oh, would you like to join us for dinner?" And she's like, "Oh no, I couldn't put anything else in my mouth. I'm full." And and then Johnny and Moira are like looking at each other like, "Oh geez," like thinking that they know something's up, right, with an affair. And
Hmm.
so there's all these sexual innuendos at the table until they discover that it's her son. But that kind of stuff was really funny because it was just very. They didn't like pause so much to let the audience get the joke. They just kind of piled like three of them on top of each other and you had to keep up. And I like that kind of stuff. Like that I find clever writing. So one of the other things that I've been catching up on that I wanted to see when it first came out, but I just never did get to it, is Alita Battle Angel. We spoke about this on a trailer. Lou and I did about the trailer back in the Citadel Cafe 295 in November of 2018. I had every intention of following it up and seeing the film, and it just never happened. And I resubbed to Crave and HBO for the holidays just to watch Star Trek Discovery and a couple of other things coming there. And I managed to catch Alita Battle Angel as one of the movies that is available on Crave. And I thought, oh, sweet. I haven't seen that. I'll check that out. It's a 2019 film based on the Japanese manga artist Yukito Kishiro's 1990 series, Battle Angel Alita. I guess they flipped the title for some reason in the movie. But it's a series of novels. This is, I think, most of the story is based on the second book, something like that. But I've
Okay.
seen there was an anime that was made in the early 2000s or 2009 or something like that, and some of the shots from the film were very similar to the anime. So the director, who is Robert Rodriguez, is the name of the director, and he obviously had seen the anime and wanted to stick as close to the manga and the anime as he could with some of the cinematography and shots and setups and things like that, which is great visually. I think it maybe comes to the detriment of the film later, but have you seen it? Just FYI.
I got through 30 minutes of it
Oh, wow.
and
Interesting.
didn't like it at all.
Okay.
Um, and it's not to say that it's bad, but I started watching it with Alistair at one point. This is before quarantine, and we got through about 30 minutes of it, and just I found that the buildup was just so slow.
It
Um,
is. Yeah.
I found it a very, very slow paced movie, and I was like, and by the time we got half an hour in, we were like, there's only like another hour of this. Like, what else can they do? Like, we've only just gotten
Yep.
into like, like the nitty-gritty of it. So I just was like, I'm not invested in this at all.
Yeah.
And I found it really uncomfortable to look at. Like the performance and the acting was really great and the animation was really good. But Alita's face is like very, very strange to look at, and my brain kept going, no, that's really what? That's not a face. Like,
Yeah.
I recognized it was a face and it looked too realistic, but then it was like really uncanny valley, and I was like,
Yeah. So I thought they did a really good job with the animation and stuff. I didn't get the uncanny valley, but I kind of like realized that she was supposed to be something different, because they set her up as a cyborg from the beginning. Her, for people that don't know, her eyes are much bigger than the average humans, and that just, it makes her look like an anime character. And I think that might have been a decision they were trying to do to make a nod to the original source material.
yeah,
Because all the other cyborgs in the show, and there's lots, if they have a human face, it's a normal human face. Like they have normal size eyes, nose, that kind of thing. Sometimes they might have metal teeth or something, but like, they're generally proportions are about the same. So it's meant to make her stand out. I think it's got that like whole Astro Boy kind of thing. She's supposed to be young and innocent, I guess, because she doesn't remember where she's from and what she does. So if you're not worried about spoilers, then I can get into a few here and warn
yeah,
the
go
listeners
for it.
that in order to talk about it and say the good and the bad, I will have to spoil some stuff. But it was a slow burn at the beginning. It did eventually get to the point where I was like, I'm actually pretty interested in where this goes. The problem, and I'll start with this, which is actually the last point I have written. It is a really shitty, indecisive ending. It's a cliffhanger. They don't wrap up the story. You get no resolution for anything that's happening in the grand scheme of things. It's basically a setup for a sequel. And I don't know if that's meant to be true to the source material, but it does not work as a film. They should have just done like what Lucas did with Star Wars and have like, they destroy the Death Star, they win, haha. If we never make another one of these, at least we have a concise story in this one. And obviously that didn't happen. They made a lot more, but with this, James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez have hinted that the film could lead to multiple sequels. On February 6th, 2019, they announced that they had plans for Alita Battle Angel 2. Please don't call it that. And then casting of Edward Norton in a non-speaking role as Nova, the film's kind of like mysterious, like omniscient villain, was intended to set up the sequel, because like, I'm not sure how much money he got paid to sit there and just say nothing for like 30 seconds on film. But like, it was obviously, because I'm watching this and there's like 20 minutes left of the film. It's like, how are they going to wrap this up? Like, I don't understand how they're going to wrap this up. And they don't. They absolutely don't. They fast forward 3 months and say that Alita has, gotten herself to the final murder ball competition where if she wins, then she gets to go to, I can't remember the name of the city in the sky. But that's it. That's the end of the movie. It's not when she wins. It's if she wins. She gets to the announcement of like, they announce her coming into the arena like a wrestler, and that's the end of the movie. And you're just like, what? I don't understand. So that really kind of rips the rug out from you in terms of what the film tried to accomplish and worked to accomplish the rest of it. I felt that the villains were flat. There was an interesting backstory to Shirin, who was played by Jennifer Connelly. And you get that information very early on. You realize that she and the doctor were husband and wife at some point. Christoph Waltz's character, Dr. Ido, they were a couple, and they had a daughter that died. And so he's kind of repairing Alita, and it's like replacing this lost child sort of thing. And you think that you have kind of an interesting arc, but then they kill her off. This Jennifer Connelly character, Shirin, they kill her off camera.
Ugh.
It's like ripping the rug out again from like whatever kind of arc this character had. She says, I'm done, I'm out, to her evil gangster boss. And you think like, well, that doesn't happen in any gangster movie I've ever seen. You don't get to go out, like you die or you spend the rest of your life on the run. And she walks out to an elevator where they open up the elevator and they show the shadow of some giant cyborg guy. And then in the next scene, the gangster guy says like, Dr. Shirin is going up to the city in the sky. And he opens up a case and it's her eyeballs, her brain, and something else in a jar. And he says it's her. You've got no idea. You have to take his word for it because they don't show her die.
Ugh.
They don't show any kind of like attack. They don't show anything. And they could have made it because she's kind of like, she's someone that has not done nice things in the film. And if she had met an untimely end or a gruesome end, it would be kind of like full circle. Like, you know, you thought you were doing bad things. Now bad things are coming and being done to you, but they don't show you that. So you don't get that pathos.
Right.
And she had done something good. Like she kind of came full circle. She was doing all this bad surgical stuff with cyborgs. And then she decided to help out Alita's boyfriend, Hugo, when he died, and she saved him. And that was the thing where she's like,
Right.
I'm done. I'm no longer doing your evil deeds. But they then kill Hugo again after she saves him. It makes
Oh, so it's like
no,
all pointless.
he dies twice.
What?
I was, again, the movie, I was enjoying it right up until I realized that they weren't going to be able to solve it. And then they started saving Hugo like twice over. I was like, nope, I am not on board with this. He was a weak character to begin with. He was, in my opinion, I'm sure he's a decent actor. I don't remember his name right now. I had it written down. Hugo, what was his name? Valen? No. That's bad. Here it is. Kean Johnson. Um,
Mm.
he's probably a decent actor. He's in a couple of other films that I've wanted to see with some other, you know, good actors. But I feel like they cast him too old. The aspirations of the character Hugo are like, I'm going to accomplish my dream and I'm going to go up to the city in the sky. And, but he's like 18 or thereabouts in the film. And it's just so naive in this cutthroat Iron City kind of like underbelly cyborg place where it's like kill or be killed and survive and stuff. And he's supposed to be this hip, like, you know, gangster, like thug wannabe. He's such a knob that you don't buy it. You would buy it if he was 14, you know, and trying to like chase his older brother and be like the big brother and do stuff like that. But because he's old enough to know better, it just doesn't fly. And it's he has a nice relationship with Alita. Like it's cool that he provides that motivation for her because she has to save him at least once, if not more than once. And like that part is okay, but then you like his motivation as a character is really weak sauce. Um, but to go into the good stuff, which is the stuff around Alita, I mean, it's a great show of strength with a female lead character. She is a former, I can't remember the name of her bot, but she's like she's basically an assassin warrior cyborg from Mars is her backstory, and she doesn't realize it, but she eventually figures it out. She has a body that she gets a new body, and in the movie, when you first see her in the first half an hour, she's got the doctor's old kid's body, which is like 14, 15. And then her new
Yeah.
body, her body that she gets from a crashed spaceship is like, she's like 20. So she's much older. And there's even a comment. The nurse even says like, oh, so you're much older than we thought. Um, and so it brings her into a whole new kind of level in terms of her physical presence because the new body comes with all these new abilities and all this kind of stuff. But she kicks some serious butt. Like there are some fights where it's really cool to see these big, like brutish, like monstrous cyborg guys that are all machismo and bullshit. And she just owns them. It's really kind of fun to watch her just kind of
I mean,
like,
it looked really cool. Like, it looked like something that was right up my alley. It looked like
yeah,
something that I would absolutely go nuts over. And then just when I got into the film, I was like, this looks really great because I was really excited to watch it. And then I was just so bored, and I was just like, nothing has happened, and it's been half an hour.
yeah,
Literally nothing happened aside from like they found her, and it's literally just her learning to be a person. You could have condensed that into like 10 minutes.
yeah,
Um, and like, I feel like the pacing of the film, like I might give it another watch because it's like I would like to watch like the actual fight scenes because it looked amazing. But just the pacing of the story was just so slow, and that's why I never bothered finishing it because I was like, no. No, can't sit here with nothing going on.
I will say that I did not watch it in one sitting.
Ah,
I think
okay.
it was three.
Okay.
Because I was watching when I was eating, and for a bunch of other reasons, like, having to do the dishes and other stuff, like I didn't have the time to sit down and watch the whole thing in one go. So I did pause it, but I do remember like the second part of it. I was just like, okay, now I'm into like the cyborg story, and she gets her new body, and like it really starts to pick up after that because they introduce like uh, an organization of bounty hunters that are all cyborgs, and that becomes really cool because you've got all these different takes on cyborgs and different body parts, and I find that it's really cool to watch, and it's a pretty film. Like the cinematography is great. The lighting and the special effects are really cool. And I love that they did a lot of motion capture because it makes the animated parts feel better and more natural. And so you're not watching a human head float around on a robot body. You're watching somebody in a motion capture shoot walking around. But then there's these hints that really make you uncomfortable in a cool way where like this guy's neck, you can see through it. Like it shows all the kind of like the cybertronic muscles of his neck. But because he's a cyborg and he doesn't have an esophagus, nor does he need one, he just you can see through his neck. So it's really awkward to see spaces in human bodies where you normally would have internal organs that would be essential, and they're just not there. Like it's weird in that way. And knowing it has this RoboCop vibe, where like knowing that some of the cyborgs that, including Alita, that are in it, are nothing more than a brain in a jar inside the head, and everything else is like synthetic. Uh, it's really off putting sometimes, but I think it's meant to be. Like it's meant to kind of push you into this realm of like this is weird, and because it's weird, it kind of gets away with some of the unexplainable tech from Mars that she ends up using later on in the film with her body, because she can kind of like turn on some sort of like plasma blade, like plasma fire on her fist, and like punch through
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Which is it's a manga superhero thing. It's just cool,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
just
It's
kind of explain
so
it in the
cool. It's
movie. Yeah, they explain it in the movie like we just don't understand this tech. Dr. Ito says like, look, this is your body, but I can't repair it because I can barely understand it. So this is you get one. I can't replace your hand if it gets chopped off. Like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
not like the other one where I can repair a joint or like fix things up, right? So final thoughts on Alita. Watch it with a warning for me that you're not. It doesn't have a satisfying ending, but from a world building standpoint, I thought it was an interesting, cool movie to look at. So it's not going to satisfy like a story arc for people, I don't think, but it's certainly neato. If that's enough for you to watch it, then it's certainly neato. You actually, because I know that you like anime, you might like the anime more.
Yeah, I was looking to see if there was an option for me to watch that at some point. But I just haven't been able to find it anywhere. But if anyone knows where to find it,
The Citadel Cafe at gmail.com. Yeah, let us know
yeah.
because I'd be curious about it too, actually. And of course, there's also the graphic novels that you could reference as well. Um,
Hmm.
Now, you might have a few things to say here, I think, because I've started watching The Queen's Gambit. And for those that don't know, it's a Netflix miniseries. I've watched 2 episodes, but I'm having a hard time getting into the show. It's well made. I can tell that it's well made, and it's a good story,
Hmm.
especially another story about like a strong woman carving her way through a male-dominated club in the 50s and the 60s with chess. But the bottom line is, like, so far after 2 episodes, I just don't care about any of the characters. So, have you had a better experience with it? Have you gotten farther than I have?
I loved it. I loved it so much. I kind of got Colin to watch it with me. I have this weird fascination with chess. Not because I don't think the game is very exciting and I find it dreadfully boring to play. But I find that the dedication and the strategy that people put into it very interesting. And I kind of it interested me because I watched this really amazing documentary years ago at a film festival about like young chess masters, and I was like, man, this is really cool, and just I just thought it was really really fascinating. Um, I will say that to get into it, like it was very slow in the beginning, and I was like, there's not a lot of chess happening here. But once I got through episode 3,
Ah,
and she kind of starts getting more into tournaments and things like that. By the end of it, I was like so riveted and so like invested in chess tournaments that I like it was kind of insane. And when you go back and like go through the symbolism, like with the costuming and some of the things that she wears, um, I don't want to spoil anything for you because it's when I realized it took someone tweeting it for me to realize the symbolism of something. Um, but like the whole show is structured like a chess match as well. Like
yeah.
every single episode is a chess match, and it's she's trying to figure out like she essentially is the queen. She is the queen, and the whole show is about it's about chess, but it is also a chess match, and that level of like depth blew my absolute mind, and I had the best time with it. I thought it looks beautiful. um it's stunning. Like the costumes are amazing, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember sitting with my roommate. She's Bethley is she's a professional seamstress. She was like, the costuming in this is immaculate. The makeup design is wonderful. The growth of the characters are wonderful. Um, and I just find the actress so interesting to look at. I don't remember her name. Um, I don't remember her name, but she looks like a fairy. She's just got such an interesting, intelligent face that like I just find her really, really engaging to watch. Um, and I can't even articulate the words or like the thoughts I have about it. It's been a minute since I've watched it. I finished it I think a couple weeks ago. Um
Yeah, a lot of people that have been watching it have been like powering right through it and then raving about it. And because I haven't had time to do that,
mm,
I got stuck. I found the second episode a slog. Like it was, I
yes.
thought it was over, and I was 20 minutes in. I was like, oh my gosh. Um,
Yeah, I found it very difficult to watch, and then once I got through, I was like, "Oh man, I don't know about this." And I was like, "I'll give it one more episode."
yeah.
So I gave it episode 3, and then by the end of episode 3, I was invested. I was in it. I was like, "All right, I'm good. I'm ready."
Anya Taylor Joy is the
Anna
lead
Taylor-Joy.
actor.
I knew it
Yeah,
was something Joy.
yeah.
I
She's
thought it was
good.
Anna Joy Taylor or something,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
she's very good in it.
I mean, everyone in it is the acting is great. Like there's
Yes.
it like you said, it's all just really well made. I'm just struggling with like, I think I'm struggling with the pace of it, and I don't know whether it's just that it's different and I'm not used to it, or whether I don't like the pace of it. But I don't. I'm not rooting for anybody yet. The one bit that I
Right.
did kind of like raise an eyebrow and was like, oh, okay, I see what you did there, was in the second episode. So, spoiler for people that haven't watched this far. Um, she's playing the final match of, I think, her state championship. She plays this dude in, I think, a church basement or a school basement or something. And
Mhm.
he's late on purpose because he's giving her shit. He's basically just being a holier than thou dickhead. And then she ends up beating him, and she's repeatedly saying like, "Do you want to do this all day, or are you just going to concede? Like, do you see it now? Like, I'm going to win. It's just a matter of time." And he's like, "No, I can get out of this." And then she says, "Maybe if you had been on time, right?" And
Mhm.
which was a nice little dig. But the opening sequence of the series is her being late for a chess game in a big fancy situation. And I caught that immediately when she said, "You could have won if you weren't late." And I thought, "Oh, someone's a little cocky later in life because she shows up late to what looked like a very important chess match." So
Yeah, and
I
there is more about that later, but it's
yeah, it's
the
I can appreciate the depth to it. I think it's just that the
yes.
pacing, I've just been like, woof, this is slow, you know?
And it is, and it's I think it's again, it is a chess match. Like they start off very, very slow. Um and it's a lot of calculating in the beginning. But I don't know, I don't like really the first episode gripped me right away. The second episode I was like, "Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here." By by episode 3, I was completely invested and I couldn't put it down. It was because the character, sorry, I had to yawn there for a second. The character is, oh man, I don't even remember the character's name. I'm terrible. Um
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, that's what it is, Liz. She is. so multifaceted. And she doesn't seem like it at first. Like, when she's first, in, I think it's in the you already got through episode 2, so she was already, doing the tournament. She's adopted by this family, and like, pretty much chess is the only thing that she's really, really invested in. And so, like, it's at first it seems like that's the only thing that she's all about is chess. But then as it goes on, like, she becomes very almost vain in a really interesting way, and then kind of learns to get out of it. And the she's been through a lot, so, like, it's interesting because, like, for her, the chessboard is like the one place where she can actually control things,
Mm-hmm.
whereas she's had no control her entire life. And it kind of goes into that a little bit more. Again, I don't want to spoil too much for you, because I definitely think it's worth watching.
I do want to keep going with it for sure.
Yeah, it is. I was so invested in it, and I love the way it looks, and I love the character growth, and but I think by episode 3 or 4 is like when the main purpose, like her main purpose for herself comes in. I mean, I think you've already kind of seen it, how, like, she wanted to just, start a tournament, and she had to start in the beginner category. But
Yeah,
even though
she wasn't ranked
before, but she's like, but I'm not a beginner. And they're just like, well, you have to play in the beginner category. And she's like, all right, fine, then put me in this too. And to kind of see how quickly she ranks, and just how just ruthless she is, but learning how to try and be flexible, because she's very rigid in the beginning, and
Yeah.
it just I can't even articulate how much I enjoyed it. But I loved that show, almost to the point where I'm thinking of rewatching it again.
Oh, wow.
I loved it a lot. It was very, very good.
Well, moving on into the Internet Minute, which is, of course, brought to you by you, the Citadel Cafe is 100% listener supported. If you get value out of the show, please consider putting a little bit of value back in. You can become a member at patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe. Joining the Patreon will get you access to the member-only Discord, as well as any of the bonus episodes that we've been recording over the course of 2020. Normally, that is a barista level benefit, but we've knocked it down to the base level. So check it out, patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe. We are currently at 21 patrons. I'd like to try to make that 22 before the end of the year. So if you have a little bit of extra cash that you'd like to help out with, it's less than the price of a cup of coffee a month, or a fancy cup of coffee, I guess, to help us out. Keeps us live, keeps us on the air, keeps us going week to week. So that is patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe. And I have the first of what hopefully will be a few holiday themed picks coming up over the next couple of weeks. This is the Imperial March and the Carol of Bells mishmashed on the piano on YouTube. Carol of Bells is one of my favorite Christmas carols, and Imperial March is one of my favorite classical pieces. And to hear them both mashed up with a piano player that's wearing a stormtrooper outfit was brilliant. It's a really easy listen. It's like a 3-minute video. It's a fun, festive thing with a dark twist. Like it's really, really cool. And I'm going to be looking for more like nerdy holiday music mashups, I think, going forward. But it was a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend checking it out. Did you have a chance to listen to this before the show?
I didn't know, but I feel like I've heard something very similar before.
I've seen other ones with like the main theme to Star Wars, and I think there's been other stuff like Jurassic Park. I think someone if they're in the same key as like one of the Christmas carols, they can usually kind of mishmash them up a little bit. And John Williams is just such a great composer, and such a I mean, I don't mean a classical composer in terms of the type of music, but like he's got those kind of deep roots in terms of classical music. So it seems timeless when he does it. But so do Christmas carols in a lot of ways. And so I think that kind of helps with the crossover of the two, but it's a lot of fun. If you just want to check it out, it'll be in the show notes this week. That wraps up this episode of the Sizzle Cafe. You can get more information about the show and some of the links to the things we talked about at thesizzlecafe.com. The music for the show was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can email us, of course, at thesizzlecafe@gmail.com, or find us by name on Twitter. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Android, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. But word of mouth is the easiest way to support the show. Just tell friends about the Sizzle Cafe and where they can go to listen to it. My name is Joel Duggan. You can find everything I'm doing online, including my illustration and design portfolio at joelduggan.com. You can listen to my other podcast at thespawnchunks.com, where we talk about Minecraft. There's a brand new snapshot out again this week, so we'll be talking about that on Monday. And of course, you can find me on social media at Joel Duggan and Joel Duggan on Twitch as well, where I'm streaming mostly Minecraft recently, but looking forward in the new year to expand that into some other games. Megan, where can people find you online?
People can find me online on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, where I'm now posting vlogs for the holidays, and also on Twitch at twitch.tv/Megan which I will be on every Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
You've been listening to the Citadel Cafe, where we are fast, easy, and cheap, but you can only pick two.